Cool. Okay. And then I'll start this right here. Then we'll get going. All right, perfect. All right. All right, well, good afternoon, people in person and people online. My name is Jonathan Shirley. We're here at the Lead Center to have another conversation with an entrepreneur. We are really excited to talk to Pamela Flugence. Let's Create LLC. She's excited too. She doesn't look excited, but it's there. It's there behind the waves of nervousness. It is there. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And all right, so we'll start with the easy stuff. Like, where's Let's Create? Where can people find you?
Let's Create is located in Carencro inside of Gilbo's Pharmacy.
Okay. All right, and what is it?
It's a place where you can get personalized gifts and supplies, and I also do embroidery.
Lovely. Okay. How did you get into all this? Because you weren't like, this wasn't a thing.
So I would create personalized gifts at home, just for family and friends, and then it became as a hobby, and then it became a source of income while I was working at Stellar. So I worked at Stellar for almost 18 years, and then it started to, I guess, become very overwhelming trying to balance the two. And then I just had to decide which one I wanted to go with because I had to let go of one of them, and I decided to choose myself.
And so
and
where did all this start? I mean, like, when did you start realizing, like, oh, I enjoy making personalized items, or I like finding stuff for people?
I think I always did since I was younger. I always wanted to create things. I always did something with my hands. But if I was watching TV, I always was doing something. When I had my daughter, it was always hard to find a matching hair bow, or it was always hard to find things. And she was a girly girl. She was also in dancing, so it was always hard to find the things that I wanted for her. And so I started creating the hair bows and the just anything that I wanted for her, putting her name on her bags and all that other good stuff. And then when people would see it, then they wanted it. And then I would just give it away, but then it became expensive to just give it away. So then they would say, well, you don't have to give it to me. I'll pay for it. And then it just grew legs of its own.
That's my favorite thing in talking to you, is that it's like, this was just the next thing to do, and it just made sense. And so, all businesses start from a need. And so for yours, like, it was like a personal need of, we need these hair bows, or right. All these kids' bags look the same. Right. So my kid needs a monogram, or my kid, something. And then it's like, okay, well, can you do that for me too? And then sure, I'll do that for you. And then now I'm doing it for 20 people, so I can't give it to you for free. And now and so it's almost, none of it was planned, but you didn't run from any of it either.
No, I didn't.
And I think that part is really cool, because sometimes it does get to where, like, oh, this is getting too much, let me just back off and not do it at all. Or I'm going to stop doing it for other people, I'm just going to do it for myself because I'm tired of giving it away. Instead of thinking about, well, I could just charge you.
Right.
And then we could go from there.
Right.
Now, so how'd you get to Stellar? So before that, where'd you grow up? How'd you end up?
So I grew up in Brobridge, graduated high school there, went to trade school, got a 2-year business degree, and then I joined the military. I don't know how that happened, but I joined the military.
As we all do, accidentally join the military.
Right.
Very common.
And then I worked at a daycare for a little while, and then I had 2 sisters that was already working at Stellar, and they was like, why don't you just apply at Stellar? And so I did, and then I started working at Stellar. Working at Stellar, someone was like, you can get a booth at the Jockey Lot and sell some of your stuff there. And so I got a booth at the Jockey Lot. I was selling stuff there on the weekends, making stuff at home after work. I did that for a couple years until the winters got wintry and it was cold. And so I stopped during the winter time because it was too cold. And then I just started doing it at home. But at the Jockey Lot, it gave me a chance to get more customers and just put my name out there. And at the time, I was doing business as Pammy's Creations. And so it just gave me, I guess, the opportunity to get my name out there and people to start ordering. They knew my phone number. And so then I could just do it at home. I didn't need to be at the jockey lot anymore.
Yeah, because it's cold.
So,
You don't need to be doing
no.
that. No. So the shift, because you just mentioned Pammy's Creations, the original, the shift to Let's Create. Like I love it because I love sort of what it all means, but like why that shift for you?
So I felt like Pammy's Creations, I felt like it was me creating for people. And so when I decided to open Let's Create, I felt like I didn't want it to be me creating. I wanted it to be us creating together. And so that's why it's Let's Create. That's why it's hands getting bigger, because I want it to be kids, adults, everybody creating together and not just adults creating. And so when I first opened, I had a kids club where we did kids crafts, and I still do from time to time. Especially when I do events, I do kids craft with kids. So Let's Create is just kids creating, adults creating, just people of all ages creating.
Yeah.
And we create together. So that's why it's Let's Create.
Yeah, I love that part of it because even if it's me just coming to ask you something, like that's still a
Right.
that's still a relationship
Right.
because it's like what I want, or so often it's I have this vision, I have no ability to do it,
Right.
and so
Right.
can I explain it to you in a way, and then you give feedback, and we sort of get to this place, but it's a we situation,
Right.
It's not a all right, what do you want? Okay, yeah, we'll do that, and then go on your way.
And oftentimes when people come to the store, sometimes they do have a vision, and sometimes they don't have a vision. So we get there together. So if someone's come in and they say, I have a bag I want to embroider, well, okay, they know the name, but they don't know what they want it to look like. So then it's kind of like baby steps. So it's, what color do you want it to be? Okay, and then they want it to be red, but they don't know what shade of red, because I have different shades of red. So then I pull out the different shades of red. So then they decide on the red. And then it's the font. And then they like, well, I want a script font. And so I have a board in my store where they choose a script font. So it's still, even though they come there with just the basic, I want my bag embroidered, we're still creating together, and then they feel like it's something that they created also. Even though they like, I didn't do it, but technically you did.
Yeah,
so
you
we're
picked all this
still
stuff.
creating,
yeah.
right?
Because it's still yours, and like I would be that person who's like, I don't know, I just want it red,
right, right.
and be like,
And
here's the reds,
something.
and I'm like, what do you mean the reds? Like, I just want red.
Yeah.
You know, just the singular. Deciding to go into the store, because that was a decision of, hey, I'm doing this at home, and now I'm gonna walk me through some of that. Like, how'd you get there?
So I don't know if any of you know Miss Leah Porter, but she was at the time the dance teacher for my daughter at Northside. So we had a good relationship. And I remember a time when she had posted that she had took the Accelerate Northside class. And so when she did, I asked her about it. And I was like, what is it? Do you think it's something that would be beneficial for me? And she was like, yes, you should do it. And so I think I let a class pass by, just nerves. And then I took the third class, I believe. And so when I took the third class, I think it was more opening for me, because a lot of the things I was doing already, but not doing at that scale.
Yeah.
And then Jonathan gave us a task to do something great for our business, and then come back the following Saturday, because we was doing the classes on Saturday. Come back and tell us what you did. And so I think I took it to heart, like I really, really need to do something great. And so I took a day off of work. I went to the bank. I opened up my bank account. I already had an LLC, but didn't go through with everything. So I came here and I met with someone to kind of go over financials. And then I went to Gilbo's Pharmacy to speak with Miss Cherie about the space. And I think by the time I got back the Saturday, I think I had the space, I had my bank account, I had everything. And so I am very, very shy, like very, very shy. And so I don't know how I was forced to say what I did, but I said what I did. And so that's how I ended up getting the space. But even getting the space, for me, I always believe in play, pray, wait, trust,
Mm.
because all the while I had been praying, and even though I was working at Stellar, I had been saving my money. I didn't know why I was saving it, but I was saving it. And so when I opened Let's Create, I really didn't need to make a loan or anything because I had saved my money for that long.
Mm.
But when I went to speak with Miss Cherie, all the things that I had prayed about, I didn't have to ask her about it. She was already telling it to me. Like, I wanted to move in. I knew that I was going to leave Stellar at the beginning of the year, and I knew I wanted to start moving my stuff in prior to that. And she was like, you can move all your stuff in. I knew what I wanted to pay for rent, and she was already telling me that. So for me, it was kind of like God saying, okay, those were my signs to say that it was my time. Um, I think the following weekend, my husband and I took a trip to Houston to try to get, like, just find some relationships with different businesses. In doing so,
Because you're looking for vendors
right,
specifically,
right,
like where you could buy product.
where I could
Yeah.
buy product. In doing so, we met with a few, but then every one we would go and we would talk to, it was really pleasant. And my husband would say, well, you need to buy some things. And I was like, no, I didn't come here for that. I just came to make some, connections. And he was like, no, you need to start buying some stuff. But what he didn't know was in my heart, I wasn't ready. Um, I just wanted to make the connections. Like, I just wasn't ready. But he was like, no, you need to start buying some things and start getting things ready.
Is the next step.
So, right. And so that push for me was all I needed, because we started buying things, and I felt like there was no turning back, because now I have all the things. I can't say no. Like, I have to proceed with this. And so we had all the things. And then I was always afraid of embroidery, like, just always afraid of it. Even though I took sewing in many, many moons ago in high school, I was always afraid of it. And so my husband would always say, you need to get an embroidery machine. You need to get a machine. And I was like, no, I'm not ready for that. Well, for Christmas, right before I opened, he brought me an embroidery machine. And I was like, I don't know why you did that. I don't want it.
I loved your
He
husband
was
before
like,
knowing all this, and it just like even more so now, where he's just like,
yeah,
"What are you afraid of? Oh, I'm gonna get you one of those."
right, right. That is him. That is
You
him.
super scared of this? Here you go.
And so I was like, okay, so it stayed, and that was like Christmas. So January came, and he was like, I paid for classes for you to learn this thing. And I was like, yeah, but, so he said, well, I'm going to schedule the classes for you so you can go. So I went to the classes, and it was like really easy. So I was like, okay, I think maybe I could do it. So then the weekend came, because I think it was like a Tuesday. The weekend came, and then I started like doing some stuff. And oddly enough, somebody asked me to put an initial on a robe. And I was like, I don't even know how to do this. Well, I was able to do the initial on the robe.
Which you didn't tell them. You just said, absolutely.
Right.
No
I know
problem.
Glenn bought you a machine, so I just need this for a wedding gift or whatever. So I did the robe, and then I did some stuff with my logo, because I had my logo at the time. And so that was the embroidery machine story. So then I could embroider. So we put that little machine in the store, and then by September, the little machine was like, it wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. So I had to buy a big machine. So now I have two machines.
So all the way back, to be clear, whenever we give homework, like go do big things, we do not tell people go quit your job and like rent a space.
No.
Like maybe you just go get a bank account. That's enough.
Right.
The assignment isn't always. The assignment has never been quit your job and go rent a space. But it's incredible. I mean, your willingness to just say, all right, like, and so much of that for you is that faith and that
Mm-hmm.
trust and that, hey, listen, like, believing that I've been saying I want this, and so whenever it's given to you, then take it.
Yeah.
Like when you tell them that you want it, and then he
Mm-hmm.
gives it to you,
Mm-hmm.
the response can't be, never mind.
Right.
Like
Right.
it's
Right.
that's why it's sort of falling in line like that,
Mm-hmm.
because hey, like all of this was laid out, you
Already.
planned for it, and it wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know, all of it was purposeful,
Right.
you know, which is
Right.
always incredible to see. And but it takes a willingness to listen
Mm-hmm.
and a willingness to say, all right, like I don't, because you don't know how to embroider until you embroider your first piece.
Right. And it's hard.
But then you totally know how to embroider because, well, I did that, like whatever
Mm-hmm.
the next thing is. Um, the You mentioned earlier the stuff that you do with kids and letting them do it, and that started, um, this youth entrepreneurship pop-up thing that you started to kind of be associated with. And so, like, talk a little bit about that. Like, I just love that piece of it of now, hey, this thing has meant a lot to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe it can mean a lot to kids and giving them a space to, I don't know, put out their ideas.
So Mel with Sweet on V had did a pop-up shop for kids, and I attended, and I thought it was like such an awesome idea.
Yeah.
And she did it in Lafayette. It was on Moss, right by her bakery, and it was really neat. So after I met with her, and I was like, I'd like to bring this to Carencro. Like, this is so neat, just to have the kids present their ideas and present, what they make. And so she was like, yeah, this is awesome. So she helped me kind of put some things together. And so we did it. The first one was amazing. We had guest speakers. I think our first guest speaker was Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Guillory, who works here. We had Sonia. Um, she came just to talk to them about their mental space and, creating and doing all the things, but also taking care of their mental health. Um, we had, I think we had my daughter had her 360 booth there. Like it was awesome. It was great. And so we had, let's say we had like 20 kids that came, and just to see the kids' faces and have them present their things that they sold was just awesome. So we kept it going. So every other month we would have another pop-up shop and have a different theme. We would have someone to come in and talk to them. Um, we had, I think you came and talked one time. Um, but we had different guest speakers to come and talk to them right before we would open the doors. And then they would have kind of like some roundtable discussions to talk about how they got some of their products, just to kind of help each other. They had to find a friend and talk to each other. So for me, it was more about giving them the space to be able to sell their products and learn how to do things with the community, like talk to the community about their products and sell their products. So um, then we started with the whole Carencro community pop-up shop where we started including adults. I also had one for just the elderly that came out, and it was just senior citizens. They sold their products. So it kind of too grew legs of its own. But now for me, I think I just want to scale back and just work with the kids.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to navigate to see like the best way to do that and just the best way to help the kids more so um, to navigate through their little spaces and their businesses, but also to help the community also. So trying to incorporate some community service events into it as well.
Yeah. I mean, the youth pop-up part of it is so cool to me because, I mean, even as a parent, like I do this and I know that it's not the right thing to do. And I still like will tell my kids like, oh, you're not old enough to do this, fill in the blank, whatever it is. But that pop-up event, it's almost like you're telling them, yeah, go for it. You know, like, because there are 99% of the people who will say, well, you're not old enough to try that idea out yet, or maybe when you get older, like, right, like as if like you get older and all of a sudden you know how to do whatever, but whatever it might be, some are making cookies and some are making like little stuffed animals or crocheting things, we bought a turtle somewhere. I don't know, like, but it's so cool because part of the coolness of it for me is there are people telling these kids yes, like try, because instead of what they're going to hear from so many adults, which is you're not old enough yet, or just wait, just wait. And if we just teach our kids to wait all the time, they're never going to do anything. So
I think our first pop-up shop, collectively, the kids sold for over $1,200.
It's crazy. Yeah. And so, like, to be able to then show, like, look, this can happen, and whatever your portion of that is really, really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you start to get real busy, like real busy. Talk about what it was like getting really, real busy.
It's very overwhelming. Like this week is very overwhelming. I work alone, so I don't have someone to put product out, price product, do the things. So I'm thankful that I have a family that supports me, because sometimes it's just all hands on deck. So I'll call my family in.
Listen, you get enough Flugences in the room, anything's possible. Like just all Flugence. There's a horn you guys blow or something, and just it's like they've all been through Accelerated Northside at some point. Like,
right. So they all know.
They all show up.
But we just get everybody in the room. We order pizza and we just put shirts out, tag everything, and it's, for me, I'm thankful for it, but it also allows us to spend time together. But it's also fun. It's just we clown, we cut up, and we're getting the job done. So even though I'm by myself, on Saturdays, it's like we bumping into each other because my space is not really that big for that much people. But we put a table out and everybody is like, they have their own rhythm, and the space just has its own cadence. So everybody is like just working, and then at the end of the day, it's like magic. Like everything is just
it's all put together.
It's all done. And it's done.
So I want to go back. I want to return to the busyness and then kind of how you then kind of grew to start to protect certain things, but also you had a good sort of base market before you moved into the shop. But I'll talk to people a lot, and they're nervous about starting. But then a part that the people don't always talk about is 6-8 weeks in, this feeling of like, what did I do? Like, this was a mistake. Like, how dare all of you people tell me to do this? Like, and so like, what was that part like? Because I feel like we don't ever talk about that part. Like maybe the doubt of like, wait a second, I thought I wanted this.
The doubt is often. It's not just. It's often. I think I had the doubt last night. I told my husband, I said, yeah, I think I'm going to go back to Stellar. But the doubt happens often. It happens often. It happens when things are overwhelming. It happens when things are just quiet. And for a week, you have no customer or one customer or two customers. So the doubt, the doubt happens very often. But I stay prayed up. I have people like Lenora who always encourage me that you are there for a reason. Like, it's just a doubt. Man. You can have that doubt for that moment, but then tomorrow I'm going to need you to have, get a bad attitude because you got to go back and let's create. Like, you got to go do some things. So the doubt is often, but I feel like for me, I have people looking at me, so I have to keep pushing. I have to keep going. But the doubt it's often. You just have to be self-motivated to know that it's a doubt and it's going to happen. And continue to push forward, because not every day is an easy day. Some days are harder than some. Some months is harder than some. But then there's some months that are better than some. So take the good with the bad. Yeah.
The part you mentioned, because I've heard this from a couple people, where you have the people who you've got your community, right? You've got people, but you also have people who will tell you like, hey, we're watching what you're doing and we're so excited. and it means a lot. It's great. It's also more pressure,
Right.
because
Right.
I didn't tell you to be watching me. How about you go look at someone else?
Right. Right.
So there's that other role, I think, of you didn't start Let's Create to be people's role model.
No.
You started Let's Create to provide these quality things. And so how do you what do you do with that? I don't know what the answer is.
I don't know. I know sometimes people come to the store with their laptops and they like, Pam, I don't know what to do. Like, my Cricut software is doing this, or my Cricut software is doing that. And it's like, I don't know what to do neither. But then we open the laptop and we work it out together. And they like, you see, I knew I was coming to the right person. But I always tell them it's not me. Like, we did it together.
Yeah.
So for me, it's motivating others to self-motivate themselves in a sense, because I don't have the magic wand, but two heads is better than one.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it. We did it together. So,
that's why it's Let's Create.
Yeah. With everything.
Two heads. Forever.
For
Let's Create in the store, sure, but let's create at home. Let's create in solving this problem. Let's create to make our community better. It's so interesting. The shift from Pammy's Creations to Let's Create is a simple one, and yet also you can see it as this giant sort of the symbolism of it throughout all of your life.
When we was working on business plans in Accelerate Northside class, my vision was not to be the creator. I wanted to get away from that. I wanted to not be the creator. I wanted to sell the supplies and do all the things. So mind you, this was in October. So December, my husband flipped the switch, but my business plan didn't include me still making shirts and still doing all those things. And so once I opened Let's Create, that's not what the public wanted. They didn't want to do the things. They wanted me to do it. And so, of course,
they were used to you doing it. Why are you telling me to do it?
And so I had the whole Cricut classes lined up. I had little boxes to show people how to do things. And so, the whole business plan just was done. I had to do some things totally different because that's not what people wanted. They still wanted me to do the things.
Yeah.
So
again, another big similarity. Mel talks about that same thing: opening a bakery, wanting to sell supplies, wanting to supply but then the community and the customer said, "No, we want you to make.
We want you to do it.
We want you to make it."
Right.
Okay. And then you're in that moment of you can either put your head down and say, "No, this is what I'm doing," and be out of business in a month, or you can say, "Oh, you guys want this instead?"
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do this instead.
Right.
And
that was the whole reason I did the DIY station, was so people could come in and we could just quickly do a shirt and it would be done. Yeah, no. It didn't work out that way.
Now it's DIY. Why would I do this whenever you could do it?
Right. And I mean, that little
station,
help design
it, but
that little station is good. It is really good for business, but the business plan for just didn't work neither.
Hey, listen, let's just put it aside. Maybe there'll be a return to it one day, but we wouldn't know right now. So let's get back to, hey, you're super busy. And so it starts to, like every entrepreneur will talk about, it starts bleeding into all of your life. And so what does that journey look like? And I don't know.
So at the beginning, when I first opened Let's Create, I thought I had to be available for 24/7. Like anytime somebody called, I had to be available. If it was Easter and somebody called, I had to be available. If it was 10 o'clock at night, somebody called, I had to be available. And my husband was like, "People calling you at 10 o'clock?" I'm like, "Yeah." Well, that got really, really, it was too much. I can remember my father-in-law saying, "Pam, put that phone down." And it really, really weighs heavy because you want to be that person to be there for everyone all the time. But it's really taxing on your own personal life, especially on your, like, when it's your personal time. And so my husband incorporated this thing where on Wednesdays I cannot answer my phone. I can't do anything because normally when I leave work, I'm going back to work. So when I
Just
leave
going to
at
work
five,
somewhere else.
I'm just going back to work at home. So I'm getting my iPad back out and I'm gonna do some more work because sometimes I need to prep things for the next day so I can kind of stay on track to get people's orders out. But on Wednesdays, I have to just put my bag down and we go out to eat every Wednesday. And so I cannot answer the phone. I can't do any of that. So on Wednesdays, I'm very, very excited because I can't, like, I look forward to it and I'm thankful he did that because it's like the calm. It's like on Wednesdays, y'all, please don't call me because I'm not going to answer the phone. But it's very calming on Wednesdays because when I get off of work, we leave, we go out to eat, and we have that time together that we normally don't have like during the week because I'm always busy doing something. Um, and so I look forward to Wednesdays, but it's never ending. Like I said, when I get off of work, I go to work. Sometimes I stay up 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I get a nap in, and then I'm back to work. So I need to hire someone.
Agreed.
Because it's very taxing, especially when it's busy. Like right now, it's really busy. So I do have my sister coming in twice a week to help me. But I need someone more permanent.
Yeah.
So it is.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I think it speaks so much to say quarter off this time, this whatever, and then protect it. I mean, like, same thing we talked about this last week. Like that's tonight for me.
Yeah.
Like, there's no soccer.
Right.
There's no nothing. Like, I will fight you. You try to put something on my Tuesday night. Like, no, nothing gets to go on Tuesday night because for that same reason, like, I know that every kid's home. It doesn't have to go anywhere. Taylor didn't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything. There's that calming presence that you start to feel at the beginning of the day.
Right. Right.
And it puts you in a great mood all day long.
Yeah, Wednesdays is my happiest
time. It's the best time to go to Let's Create. Yes. Is Wednesday during the day.
Yeah.
Just don't call it night because it's not going to get anybody.
Not going to happen.
You're going along and your daughter's at Southern and is helping do some marketing things. Like, what's that like for her? I don't know, to watch you do this. I mean, like, obviously she's not here, we can't. But like, is there a space where, like, I guess she's thinking, well, Mom, I thought this was just something you were doing, and now it's like you have a store and you've been there open for 2 years now, and
I think because she have her own business also, so she does photography and graphic design under the business of Above Art. She gets it, and she's been doing this for over 6 years. She understands, but a lot of times she doesn't come to the store because it's overwhelming, and she knows that I will put her to work.
Smart girl.
Right. So it is times when I need her, like this past Saturday, I needed her to come to the store. So she knows how to work every single thing. She knows if I am unable to go to work, she can run it.
Yeah.
But I have to also keep a balance with her also because she is in college, graduating in May.
Congratulations to you. Just as much to her. But,
So I have to keep a balance with her. So she does do a lot of my marketing, but I know that she's also working and she has her own business. So I try to not give her so much to do. But it's times when I'm like, okay, Cammy, I need 10 things. And I need all of these things by the end of the week. So just fit them in your schedule. So we have a little notes section on our phones that I'll add certain things for her to do. And whenever she could get to it, she gets to it. And then I'll just put something priority if I need it. Like, so we have our own little system going. But she sees when it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And she'll chime in or she'll come in on the weekends. But like any event. She's there for all events. If there's a pop-up shop or in August we did this big braiding event, she was there. She does a lot of my videography, photos,
Hmm.
which is another reason I kind of scaled back a little bit on some of the things because it just seemed like every weekend I had stuff going on.
Yeah.
Every weekend. And so it was getting very taxing on my family. So I had to scale back
Wednesday's
a
not
little bit.
enough at some point.
Right,
Yeah, you start
right.
going, well, maybe we don't. Yeah.
So I said this year I would scale back a little bit and just not have so many events.
Sure.
But yeah, she does see the busyness about it, and she's there. She's helpful.
Yeah.
She's helpful.
I mean, it's amazing to hear you just sort of casually say that she's been doing this thing for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, in my head, that puts her at like doing that thing at like 17, 16 years old. Like,
school.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and so where does that come? I mean, like, what did your parents do? Like, how did they instill this in you that like, that like, just do the next thing, like the next right thing, do the next thing that you're supposed to do? Like,
I think when we were younger, we always, my dad always instilled in us that you have to be the person to go get it. Like, no one's going to give it to you. And so when Cammie was getting a little older, I think I kind of incorporated that same teaching that even though mom and dad have jobs and we could afford to give it to her, I always wanted her to understand that in life, it's not given to you. Like, you have to work for it. And I guess for her, she always tried to find what is my talent? Like, where do I fit best in the world? And so she took a photography class one summer, and she fell in love with it. She always, of course, all teenagers take pictures every day, all day. But she fell in love with it, and she wanted us to buy her this expensive camera. And I was like, what do you want to do with the camera? And she said, well, I think I want to do photography. And I was like, photography for who? And she said, well, I just want to take pictures. I'll take pictures of family, whatever, whatever. So we did that. We bought the camera, and then she started working on a logo. And I was like, why are you working on a logo? So she said, I think I want to like take pictures, but like do a business. And so at the time, of course, I was working at Stellar. I had a good friend of mine that her name is Chelsea Denbo. Cammie had it on a like a food tray. She did the logo on a food tray that was dry, like a dry erase food tray. And so I took a picture of it and I gave it to her, and she was like, "Oh, that's a cool logo." So she did the whole logo write up and all that for her. And today she still have that same logo.
That's awesome.
So she made her own logo and everything, and she's still, yeah.
Just with this, hey, if you want something, go and I do, and I like the like. What do you want to use it for?
Right.
Like next time Henry wants like a Pokemon thing, I'm gonna be like, what do you want to use it for?
Right.
Like this is another stuffed animal. Like where's it going?
Right.
And he's have to come up with like a SWOT analysis of it. It's gonna be great. He'll never ask for anything again.
Well, for her, she saved her money while she was doing photography, and she's younger, so the younger kids wanted her to take pictures. So
Absolutely.
Senior pictures, she took their senior pictures. So she saved her money, and then she bought this big 360 booth. And then we would always say she was on tour because she would go from Lafayette to St. Martinville to Youngsville in a day. Like, that little thing was just everywhere. And so she saved the money to buy it, and she was so proud to have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
She's doing good.
Good for you guys, man. Flugences. All right, so before we kind of open things up to other people who may have questions, I don't know. I mean, whenever you think about, somebody you were mentioning, you're just going to do what you're doing. I mean, sort of, which doesn't make any sense that I just said it. but hey, like, in those times where there's a lulls and you start to doubt yourself, and you had talked about, hey, you're here for a purpose. Mm-hmm. So whenever you think about your purpose, what's like Pamela Flugence's purpose is to do what?
I think just to be there to help people, inspire people. But I think my purpose more so is for the younger kids. To give them an outlet to be able to do the things that I'm doing, in hopes that I can inspire them that one day doing what they do today at the pop-up shops can be where I am and maybe even bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got where you are. You didn't do any pop-up shops.
No.
So like, hey, they did pop-up shops
Right.
as a 11-year-old.
Right.
Like, who knows where that goes?
Right.
That's really awesome. That's really awesome. Okay, so people who are here, any questions? Anything that you want to ask? Anything you want to know? Anything? There's you got a remarkable person here.
I don't have anything I want to ask. I just want to make who you are more inside of
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
That was cool. Sorry, I was just like figuring out what you were doing with the kids. This is awesome.
Thank you.
I missed the first part, but how do the kids get in touch with you about your community, or how does that work?
So I normally post some information on my Facebook page, and I post a link for them to sign up, and that's how they sign up. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Any age. Any age. If they feel like they can sell something, any age.
They come to you with the idea already, or help them kind of?
They pretty much come with the idea already. They just come and set up at the pop-up shops. We will be doing things a little bit different. So I'm trying to gather all of the information from the young entrepreneurs now so that we can have a meeting and then kind of set up some things so we know, like, if they have a QR code or ways to pay and how they're going to set up their little booths and stuff like that. And then we'll issue out some dates. Thank you.
That's great. I think I like the idea of having those meetings and giving them, hey, have you thought about
Mm-hmm.
ways to pay and how to accept this stuff? And yeah, especially maybe you can create something that sort of, this is an umbrella thing and anyone can utilize whatever it might be. All right, so before we sort of wrap everything up, we do have one sort of announcement thing. So Kevin, if you want to come on up and make a separate announcement that we've got, and then we can kind of do any lasting thoughts and words of wisdom and some Flugence wisdom. But I'll let yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Here you go. You can use both of these. Everyone else online, just talk amongst yourselves. Don't talk to your neighbor or something. I don't even want to say.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm good.
Why are you looking like that? You all right?
I'm good.
All right. Good morning or good afternoon. Hello to our live audience. My name is Kevin Guillory here at the Lead Center. So I have a special announcement. The Lead Center is part of a program called the Urban Poverty Business Initiative that is led by Dr. Michael Morris at the University of Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. There are more than 30 partner cities in the UPBI program across the world. Similar programs to what we do with Accelerate Northside here in Lafayette. And as part of the UPBI program, there is something that they created up at Notre Dame called the Michael Boyce Award. So I'm going to read this short description of the award. Colonel Michael Boyce, retired, spent 30 years serving in the U.S. Marine Corps, and through his life embodied the core values the Marines represent. After his military career, Colonel Boyce continued to serve his country by being elected to and chairing the Cobb County, Georgia Board of Commissioners. Colonel Boyce spent his last year at Notre Dame as part of the Inspired Leadership Initiative, ILI, focusing on leveraging his professional experience for the good of others, and invested his time in mentoring students and an entrepreneur from the South Bend Entrepreneurship and Adversity Program, SBEAP, which is similar to the Accelerate Northside program here in Lafayette. In his honor, the University of Notre Dame established the annual Michael H. Boyce Award to recognize an emerging entrepreneur in each of the UPBI partner cities, of which Lafayette is one, who embodies the values that defined his extraordinary life. These values include honor, courage, commitment, faithfulness, overcoming, discipline, and leadership. So in front of you today, you have the 2023 Michael H. Boyce Award winner for Lafayette, Louisiana. So when the opportunity came to nominate someone, we begin to think about who all of the hundreds of people who have been through the program. And we begin to think about one of our entrepreneurs who continue to make an impact in her community, not just through business, but through the heart that she has for others. And you heard Pam mention the youth entrepreneurship pop-up that she's done in Carencro and all of the other things that she's doing in Carencro. And we've had some amazing entrepreneurs go through our programs. And as we evaluated everyone, we came into an agreement that, we wanted to nominate Pam for this award because she embodies honor, courage, commitment, faithfulness, overcoming, discipline, and leadership. So we would like to present this award to you today. Okay. Congratulations. Would you like to give an acceptance speech?
Thank you. I'm so surprised and thankful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know what else to say. Wow.
And like Kevin was saying, I think for us and for whether it's Kevin and I and Dr. Stewart, like Pamela Flugence isn't the loudest one in the room, but it's hard for us to find people who care about more people. Constant selflessness, and why did I want to talk about protecting Wednesdays? Because it's exciting that you are carving out time for you too. I don't see how you have time for anybody else. Whenever, or not only how you have time for you, whenever you care about someone else. So it was really easy and obvious to us that hey, you'd be a great person to accept this, and the continued work that now you have to do because we gave you an award. So there's going to have to be some continued work there.
Right.
But thank you. Thank you for joining our conversation. Thank you for being here. Thanks everyone for watching or for being online. And then next week we'll continue our conversations, but we'll talk about that later. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks for being here.
And to think, I said I wasn't going to come.